Hello everyone. In this lecture, we will be discussing about broad spectrum antibiotics, mainly tetracyclines and chloramphenicol. The objective of this presentation is introduction of tetracyclines and chloramphenicol, classification and other salient aspects of broad spectrum antibiotics. Friends, you have already studied about aminoglycosides. Now we are moving forward with the antimicrobial agents and antibiotics which are acting at the same site. Let us talk first about tetracyclines. Tetracyclines originally were identified as soil microorganisms from the soil fungus. Nowadays, they are made semi-synthetic. Why they are known as tetracyclines? Because as the name suggests, they have four cyclic rings in their structure. That's why they are known as tetracyclines. If we talk about the classification of tetracyclines, which may be asked in Viva, basic classification is according to the half-lives. It can be classified as short half-life, 6 to 8 hours, having intermediate half-life, 10 to 12 hours, and long half-life, having 20 hours. Shorter half-life tetracyclines are tetracycline and oxytetracycline. Intermediate acting tetracyclines are dimeclocycline and methacycline. And longer half-life tetracyclines are named as doxycycline and minocycline. Friends, it should be kept in mind that all of them are bitter solids and they are weakly soluble in water. That's why all tablets or all drugs which are available in the market are tetracycline hydrochloride tablets. You are aware about the mechanism of action which is already mentioned in aminoglycosides. Aminoglycoside, tetracycline, chloramphenicol and macrolide, they all act at the same site, that is 50S and 30S ribosome, and all of the four antibiotics, their mechanism of action is to inhibit protein synthesis. So tetracyclines are primarily bacteriostatic. All these drugs are primarily bacteriostatic, but at larger concentration they can be bactericidal. Mechanism of action is to inhibit protein synthesis by binding to 30S ribosomal site and inhibiting aminoacetyl tRNA to acceptor site of mRNA. So that is peptide chain fails to grow. That is the mechanism of action. If we look here, tetracycline will not allow aminoacetyl tRNA to bind to the acceptor site. This is acceptor site, this is peptidyl site, and this is the nascent polypeptide chain, newly formed polypeptide chain. So tetracycline inhibits aminoacetyl tRNA to attach with the acceptor site of 30S ribosomes. Resistance of tetracycline may be because of the displacement of tetracycline from the target site, that is 30S ribosome, inactivation due to inactivating enzymes. This plasmid mediated R factors. There are antibiotic degrading enzyme, that means tetracycline may be degraded by this enzyme, so it will not have its action, or antibiotic altering enzyme. The enzyme will alter the structure of antibiotics tetracycline so that it will not be able to attach to the target protein. And the third mechanism of action is energy dependent efflux. This efflux pump will be activated, so whatever antibiotics enters into the cell will be effluxed out, will be forced out. And last resistance mechanism is decreased permeability of drug into the sensitive organism. So these are the resistant development mechanism to tetracycline. If we talk about spectrum of efficacy, as we know that they are known as broad spectrum. So many of the gram-positive and gram-negative organisms are susceptible, including spirochetes, chlamydia, rickettsia, mycoplasma pneumoniae, Vibrio cholerae, H. pylori, Yersinia pestis, and nowadays doxycycline has got very much importance in the treatment of COVID-19. So we can say tetracycline acts on the spectrum of activity ranges from bacteria to fungus to virus. So it justifies its name that it's a broader spectrum antibiotic. If we look to the important pharmacokinetic profile of tetracycline, all of them can be orally effective if it is, when they are dispensed in the hydrochloride solution. Doxycycline is more bioavailable than tetracycline. That's why doxycycline can be given once a day, whereas if we use shorter acting tetracycline and oxytetracycline, we have to give it 4 times in a day. Tetracycline binds with calcium and other metals. So calcium in milk or magnesium or aluminum and iron in diet will decrease the absorption of tetracycline. Tetracycline should not be administered with milk or milk products or iron-rich diet. This can be asked as a viva question or short question because it will get chelated and it will get accumulated and can show. It will not be absorbed orally, but it will get accumulated in the teeth, bone, such tissues. That's why it will have side effect. All tetracyclines can be metabolized by liver except doxycycline that is excreted in bile. Now if we compare doxycycline and minocycline over older generation tetracyclines, more therapeutic uses are of doxycycline. So what are the advantages of doxycycline and minocycline? They are most bioavailable, 95 to 100% orally absorbed, no interaction with food, least alteration of gut flora, that means less chances of superinfection, more longer half-life, so OD dose is possible. It can be given by IV route also, and it's not eliminated by kidney, so dose cannot be should not have to adjust. It can be given safely without individualizing the dose, unlike aminoglycosides. Therapeutic uses of tetracycline can be classified into tetracycline as first drug of choice, second choice, and other uses. Now let us see first what are the first. Tetracycline can be considered the first choice for rickettsial infections like epidemic typhus, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, scrub typhus. For that, doxycycline 100 mg orally or intravenously can be given for 5 to 7 days. STD due to chlamydial trachomatis, lymphogranuloma venereum, granuloma inguinale, doxy 100 mg OD can be given for 2 to 3 weeks. Acute epididymitis, doxy plus ceftriaxone combination can be given for 10 days. You know what is ceftriaxone? That is cephalosporin, third generation cephalosporin. For the treatment of urethritis, cervicitis, psittacosis, doxycycline 100 mg once a day can be given for 7 days. Another infections where tetracycline has to be considered as first drug of choice is trachoma, that is caused by Chlamydia trachomatis. Tetracycline eye drops can be given and orally for 4 to 6 weeks. What is trachoma? This is the infection caused by Chlamydia trachomatis, and initially the patient will have lid swelling, then lid inflammation, and gradually there will be corneal clouding. This is the progression of trachoma. For this, we have to give tetracycline orally as well as by eye drops. For cholera infection, doxycycline 200 mg single dose with fluid and electrolytes. For brucellosis, 100 mg doxy plus rifampicin 600 mg OD can be given for 6 weeks. And for plague, tetracycline and aminoglycosides are given. Now there are certain conditions where first drug of choice is different, but by chance this first choice is either resistant or contraindicated or showing severe allergic reaction, then we have to think about tetracyclines. For the syphilis, penicillin is the drug of choice. For primary, secondary and latent syphilis, if penicillin is contraindicated or showing hypersensitivity, then we can treat that patient with doxycycline 100 mg OD for 2 weeks. Mind well, for neurosyphilis, tetracycline is not useful. For leptospirosis, penicillin is the drug of choice. If it is contraindicated, we have to give doxycycline 100 mg twice a day for 7 days. For chancroid, intramuscular ceftriaxone or oral azithromycin or ciprofloxacin is the first drug of choice. But if they are contraindicated, we can treat the patient alternatively with doxycycline 100 mg OD for 3 weeks. For tularemia, gentamicin and streptomycin intramuscular injection is the first drug of choice. But if they are contraindicated, doxy 100 mg OD for 10 to 21 days can be given. For gonorrhea, if penicillin is resistant or allergic, patient is allergic to penicillin, doxy 100 mg or azithro 500 mg once a day for 10 days can be given. For atypical pneumonia, macrolides are the first drug of choice. Azithro or erythro are the first drug of choice, but by chance, if they are showing side effects, then we can consider second choice as doxycycline 100 mg for 7 days, once a day. Other uses, tetracycline can be combined with metronidazole for the treatment of amoebiasis. For malaria, especially chloroquine resistant P. falciparum malaria, doxy 100 mg with quinine or sulfa and pyrimethamine combination or artemisinin combined therapy. For malaria prophylaxis, chloroquine is considered as the drug of choice, but chloroquine is showing many side effects like gastric side effects. So advise the patient to take doxycycline 100 mg OD to be started prior to the visit to the sensitive area, and it should be continued throughout the patient is staying in the sensitive area. For acne vulgaris, doxycycline 100 mg orally plus tetracycline skin ointment can be applied over the acne. It is claimed that tetracycline will inhibit that sebum formation and it will inhibit the inflammation. For cutaneous MRSA, that is methicillin resistant staph aureus infection, methicillin is the you have studied about penicillins, that is penicillins are organism staph aureus are notorious organism. They develop the enzyme penicillinase enzyme which may deactivate penicillins. Methicillin is the penicillin which does not get deactivated by that enzyme, but by chance staph aureus are resistant to methicillins also, then we have to treat those superficial infection where it can be superficial ulcer can be treated with either doxycycline or minocycline. Other uses for H. pylori infestation. H. pylori is the organism which may cause ulceration in the stomach or gastric acidity. In quadruple regime, bismuth, metro, proton pump inhibitor and tetracycline are the drug of choice. For anthrax, doxycycline 100 mg can be given for prophylaxis and therapeutic purpose. For traveler's diarrhea, doxy 100 mg can be given. Friends, nowadays, for respiratory tract infections caused by either strep pneumoniae or by COVID, doxycycline 100 mg 5 days, BD for 5 days, along with other care and medications are considered. COVID and doxycycline. You might have experienced or you might have seen some patients given doxycycline. Now let us consider about the side effects of tetracyclines. Obviously, esophagitis, epigastric pain, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, your favorite side effects, GIT side effects are seen because of tetracycline. So advise what you have to give to your patient is to be taken with either full glass of water and maintain upright posture for at least 30 minutes after taking the drug. Tetracyclines have got chelating effect on teeth and bone. So there will be such type of brownish discoloration of teeth and nails, especially in the younger children. So avoid use during pregnancy and children below 10 years. Phototoxicity. Phototoxicity means the exposed part of skin may get discolored. Doxy and democlocycline are more phototoxic. The patient treated with this drug will have sunburn on exposed part. This type of uh, cutaneous sunburn can be seen. So you have to advise your patient to avoid exposure to sun when you are treated with either doxy or demeclocycline. Hepatic necrosis can be seen with high dose of tetracycline because all tetracyclines are hepatotoxic drugs. Jaundice and fatty liver can be seen. Doxycycline is safer. Avoid tetracycline, shorter half-life tetracycline and chlortetracycline in liver compromised patients. Comparatively, compared to all other tetracycline, doxycycline is safer in for liver. Renal toxicity, especially with the use of outdated tetracycline. The syndrome is known as Fanconi syndrome. This can be asked in viva or short question. Patient develops nausea, vomiting, polydipsia, polyuria, acidosis, proteinuria, and proximal tubular damage. So never use expiry dated tetracycline, otherwise it may lead to renal failure. Other side effects: nephrogenic diabetes insipidus because of inhibition of ADH. So patient will have polyuria. Avoid demeclocycline because it has got more ADH inhibitory action. Superinfection. Superinfection is the very notorious side effect that is seen because of the alteration in the gut flora. Especially as shown in this figure, normal normal microbiodata keeps opportunistic pathogens in check. These are opportunistic pathogens. They are kept under control by our normal gut flora, commensal organisms. But these broad spectrum antibiotics will call all non-resistant cells. So what happens? These drug resistant pathogens, they proliferate because there is um I mean, no comparison and no fighting. That's why they become dominant and they can cause super infections, especially fungal esophagitis, candidial infection, pseudomembranous nephrocolitis. These are very common. Avoid The advice you should give to your patient is avoid older tetracycline for long-term use. Vestibular toxicity, especially minocycline, is more vestibular toxic drug. Patient develops ataxia and vertigo, and doxycycline is safer. Patient having ataxia or vertigo, avoid minocycline, prefer doxycycline. Pseudotumor cerebri in infants. Otherwise, also you please friends keep in mind tetracyclines are contraindicated during pregnancy and children below 10 years. But if at all it is given by mistake to infants, there will be raised intracranial tension with bulging of anterior frontanile. So keep this in mind that tetracycline are highly contraindicated in infants and during pregnancy and lactation. Other side effects: irritation by injection. If it is given by intramuscular route, it may cause injection abscess, or if it is given by intravenous route, it may cause thrombophlebitis. Then raised eosinophilia, hilar lymphadenopathy. These are other side effects. We have to keep drug interactions in mind. We have seen that tetracyclines can inhibit gut flora, our normal commensal organisms. So inhibition of gut flora, we know that vitamin K is synthesized by these gut flora. So there will be less synthesis of vitamin K. If the patient is given warfarin, then more anticoagulant effect of warfarin will be seen, characterized by more bleeding. Tetracyclines are enzyme inducers. Enzyme inducers like phenytoin or carbamazepine like drugs. They induce the enzyme which may decrease the levels of tetracycline. calcium in milk or magnesium or aluminum and iron in diet will decrease tetracycline absorption. So that thing we have to keep in mind. And we have seen that, keep in mind that pregnancy, lactation and children below 10 years are highly contraindicated to be given treated with tetracycline. Of course, renal and liver compromised patients are also should not be treated with tetracyclines. Now, another tetracycline is tigecycline, that is the derivative of minocycline, that is approved in 2005. It has got still broader spectrum of activity, that is active on even tetracycline resistant organisms. Gram-positive cocci, MRSA, multi-drug resistant streptococci, vancomycin resistant cocci, gram-negative cocci, Neisseria gonorrhoeae, anaerobes like Clostridia, H. influenzae, E. coli, all these organisms are sensitive to tigecycline. Tigecycline binds with higher affinity to 30S and 20 times more potent. So far, no resistance by efflux or ribosomal mutation has been noted towards tigecycline. If we look towards for the pharmacokinetics and other important aspects of tigecycline has to be given by intravenous route. It can be given IV as 100 mg loading dose followed by 50 mg IV every 12 hourly. It does not have any action on cytochrome P450 enzymes, so rare drug interaction. It is eliminated in bile, so no dose adjustment is required in renal dysfunction patients. It is used for complicated skin or soft tissue infections, intra-abdominal infection due to Enterobacteriaceae or Enterococci, severe hospitalized cases of community-acquired pneumonia, ADRs, adverse drug reactions seen are GIT side effects, allergy, pancreatitis, and all other ADRs like tetracycline can be seen with tigecycline also, with increased risk of death in hospital-acquired or ventilator-associated pneumonia patient. This is considered as black box warning by US FDA. So that was about tetracycline. Another broad spectrum antibiotic is chloramphenicol. Chloramphenicol also is obtained from soil fungus, Streptomyces venezuelae. This is the structure of the mechanism of action is, unlike tetracycline, it binds to 50S ribosome. Friends, we are not going into detail about mechanism of action because this is just the reinforcement of what you all know. It binds to 50S ribosome, inhibits the binding of aminoacetyl tRNA to acceptor site on the 50S subunit. Nutshell, inhibits protein synthesis. Chloramphenicol also is primarily bacteriostatic, but on higher dose it can be considered as bactericidal. Resistance may develop due to plasmid mediated acetyltransferase enzyme, which may lead to inactivation of drug or mutation to 50S and ribosome and less permeability. These are the mechanism of development of resistance towards chloramphenicol. Spectrum of activity is broader. H. influenzae and meningitis, streptococcal pneumonia, enterococci, mycoplasma, chlamydia, enterobacteriaceae, etc. But nowadays, S. typhi is showing resistance. Initially, S. typhi was sensitive to chloramphenicol. That's why for the treatment of enteric fever, initially chloramphenicol was considered as drug of choice. Nowadays, ceftriaxone or ciprofloxacin can be considered as drug of choice. Therapeutic uses, friends, let me be very clear that chloramphenicol is nowadays not much used because of the development of resistance, and because of the higher side effects. But though chloramphenicol can have good CSF penetration, it can be considered for bacterial meningitis. 50 milligram per kilogram per day every 6 hourly can be given. Anaerobic infections, brain abscess or pelvic abscess or wound infections. Typhoid fever, but now it is less preferred. Eye or ear infections, chloramphenicol eye drops or ear drops. This is very commonly used and safe also. Rickettsial infections like tetracycline as an alternative to tetracycline. Epidemic typhus, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, scrub typhus, Q fever, chloramphenicol also can be considered. For brucellosis and whooping cough, chloramphenicol can be considered as an alternative agent to rifampicin and erythromycin. Side effects are quite many, especially bone marrow depression. Patient treated with chloramphenicol may show aplastic anemia, agranulocytosis and thrombocytopenia, and there will be reversible myelosuppression. That means if we discontinue the drug, there will be reversal of bone marrow depression. Your favorite side effect can be observed if it is given orally: nausea, vomiting and diarrhea. Allergy and supersensitivity, rashes, fever and angioedema. Being a broad spectrum antibiotic, commensals will be suppressed, and they will have more action. Uh, Patient may have blurred vision and paresthesia, but major side effect can be asked in viva, and short answer question is gray baby syndrome. Gray baby syndrome is the typical side effect produced or seen with chloramphenicol. What is gray baby syndrome? If babies or infants below 1 year are given chloramphenicol, they do not have enzyme, that is glucuronil transferase, to metabolize or to conjugate and excrete out chloramphenicol. That's why what happens? If we give this babies, infants, if we treat with chloramphenicol, it will get accumulated in the body, in the especially of unconjugated form, and that will show the toxicity. Signs and symptoms is babies stop feeding, they cry, there will be development of hypothermia, hypertonia, acidosis, and development of ashen gray cyanosis. Babies will turn into gray. That's why they are known as gray baby syndrome. If not treated promptly with phenytoin or other enzyme inducers, and if we can't get the unconjugated drug out from the baby's body, they can also die. Drug interactions, inhibition of cytochrome P450 enzymes will lead to increased toxicity of warfarin and phenytoin. PSM increases bioavailability of chloramphenicol, so toxicity may be seen. Paracetamol. Now, when we are thinking about chloramphenicol, we have to keep these guidelines in mind. Chloramphenicol is more toxic, so should be avoided. If at all indicated, daily dose should not exceed more than 2 to 3 grams per day, and therapy should not exceed 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks. And whenever we are treating our patient with chloramphenicol, complete blood count should be done at regular interval to check for bone marrow depression. Just to conclude, we have seen major classes of protein synthesis inhibitor drugs. Chloramphenicol, macrolide and lincosamides bind to 50S ribosomal subunit and prevent peptide bond formation and stop protein synthesis. Aminoglycosides bind to 30S ribosomes and impair proofreading and resulting in production of faulty proteins. Tetracyclines bind to 30S ribosome and block the binding of tRNA, thereby inhibiting protein synthesis. This is the, in nutshell, we can say all these drugs, aminoglycosides, chloramphenicol, tetracycline and macrolides, they all inhibit, they act at the same site and they inhibit protein synthesis. Broad spectrum antibiotics are active against wider number of bacteria and thus may be used for treatment of variety of infections. Therapeutic uses of tetracycline and chloramphenicol are rickettsial infection, plague, cholera, trachoma, brucellosis. Doxy is nowadays more useful for malaria, COVID, anthrax, cutaneous MRSA. Chloramphenicol has to avoid, but it can show better efficacy for bacterial meningitis, rickettsial infection, brucellosis, whooping cough, and especially chloramphenicol eye drops can be used for eye and ear infections. If we just narrate the side effects of tetracycline and chloramphenicol: GI disturbances, liver failure, ataxia and vertigo, bone marrow depression, teeth discoloration, phototoxicity, and if used, outdated tetracycline may cause renal toxicity, Fanconi syndrome, and superinfection. These are major side effects, and it should be tetracycline should be avoided during pregnancy, lactation, and children below 10 years. If we compare the side effects of, if we just narrate the side effects of chloramphenicol can show bone marrow depression, myelosuppression, and gray baby syndrome. This is the major side effect of chloramphenicol. Friends, these are the salient aspects of tetracycline and chloramphenicol. You have to uh, know the difference of minocycline congener, tigacycline. But tigacycline also has got black box warning that it cannot be given or when the patient is on hospital acquired pneumonia or ventilator associated pneumonia, we have to be more cautious because it can show cardiotoxicity. So that's all about broad spectrum antibiotic, tetracycline, chloramphenicol and tigacycline. Thank you.